Richard Dreyfuss is a single father who would do anything to make his children happy and to make sure that they had a good life, including, as it turns out, putting his entire family in blackface.
What's up? Oh,
this is a movie.
Excuse me?
So Richard Dreyfuss is a professor. He's still a revered anthropologist, but since his wife's death, he's sort of become depressed and he's just barely keeping it together. We see that the house is messy. There's two boys and then there's like a teenage daughter, and that's Natasha Lyonne. It's just everyone's having trouble dealing with the mom's death.
Sure.
And then this perky young woman, her name is Veronica. I guess she's a new professor. And she's very peppy and she's excited about anthropology. And she had Dreyfuss as a professor and he's always been her hero. She just barges in the house and she's like, I'm so excited to meet you. And I was one of your students. Now we're colleagues. And I'm so excited about the big speech you're going to give today. And he's like, what's that now? Oh, yes, the undiscovered tribe. And she's like, of course you found the tribe. And he's like, yes, of course I found the tribe. Oh, boy. And then she's like, we're so excited for your speech. It's going to be huge. And now he's panicking. Because I guess we get the feeling he hasn't discovered a tribe.
Right.
He's just been sleeping in his clothes for about a year. So then he goes into a huge lecture hall. Everyone's so excited. They're all like, oh, my God, he's here. We're all so excited about this tribe. Krippendorf. His name's Krippendorf.
Oh.
Richard Dreyfuss is named Krippendorf.
Oh, sure.
So he goes into the big hall. They're like, what's the tribe called? He looks at like the drawing that his kid made. And it's like their three names. I forget what their names are. But he just like makes it like a combination of those. He's like, oh, of course, it's the Miamamu tribe. Oh, so before that, though, he goes to his office. And we're really raising the pressure on this speech. And Lily Tomlin comes in.
What?
And she's kind of got African stuff on. And she has a monkey on her shoulder.
Yep.
And the monkey farts.
Classic.
And she's like, pardon my monkey. But she's a real bitch. You know how bitches are always coming into your office and their monkeys will fart?
Blaming farts on their monkeys?
Yeah. Classic monkey farting bitch. Yeah. So then he's like, okay, I got through the speech. And then he's walking out, and Veronica's like, that was so great. And then Lily Tomlin comes back, and I think she's got like the president and dean with her. And she's like, well, of course you have videotape. You have to have videotape. And now Veronica thinks she's helping, and she's like, oh, it's the best videotape I've ever seen. And she's like, oh, well, we'll see that next Friday. And she's like, you sure will. And he's like, fuck, now I got to make a videotape. He turns his backyard into a New Guinea tribe.
Okay.
And then he puts both of his sons in just full-on black body, black face. No. He's like, wait, and the boys are into it. Like, there's a scene where I gasped. The boys turn around and they're like, how do we look, Dad? And he's like, great job, boys. And then the boys are into it, but Natasha Lyonne's like, I don't want to do it. And he's like, you got to help your dad out. So now she's begrudgingly in blackface and makeup. And then they cut together the shit they shot in the backyard with actual footage. Because before his wife died, he did go to New Guinea.
Okay.
But I guess he just found discovered tribes.
Right. Oh, well,
so he made friends with discovered tribes while he was looking for his undiscovered tribe. So they cut that together. They show it. So then he's walking out of that. And he's like, okay, I got through another one. This shit has to end. But Veronica, so she's like, Krippendorf, I've got this guy. It's like, this guy runs a new cable station about anthropology. He wants to run more of your footage on his channel. This could be big. But then he gets a phone call and they're going to evict him from his house. And he's like, okay, fuck it. I'll do the thing. So then he agrees to the show. And now Krippendorf's tribe becomes like famous. They're selling like merch.
Oh no!
Like women have like necklaces and headdresses and all this shit. So then Lily Tomlin's like looking at that with the other professors, and she's like, "I know this shit is fake. I'm gonna prove it. I'm gonna go to New Guinea."
Oh shit!
So for the rest of the movie, now Lily Tomlin's just going through the jungle with a guide. Like she's like driven to prove this fucking guy wrong, which she's right. And then the guy from the anthropology TV channel is like, "We need more footage," and the people want sex. You must have done a thing on mating rituals. So funny. He goes, show us how they have sex. And he's like, okay, I'll do that for you. Unrelated, Veronica, would you like to come over to my house tonight and go on a date with me?
Yeah.
And we're like, holy shit, he's going to make a sex tape.
Yeah.
He has to have... So then we cut to his house. It's late at night. He puts on music. She's already shit-faced drunk. She's like slurring her words. She's got he pours her another giant glass of wine. And you're like, not only does this motherfucker have to get her drunk enough to fuck him, he has to get her drunk enough to make a blackface sex tape. Like, that's where this is going. Yeah. You're like, he's going to dress her up like before it happens, you're like, he has to dress her up like as an Aboriginal woman. Yeah. And then it cuts to fucking... It's like a traumatizing cut. It cuts to her. Like, one of her teeth are blacked out. She's got face paint and, like, a glass dress. And she's doing, like, she's, like, pissed. She's, like, blacked out drunk. She's doing the craziest Aboriginal dance, and she's horny, and she's like, I'm gonna fuck you, and I'm an Aboriginal. I guess she just thinks it's, like, sex play.
Right.
He's like, give me a second. He turns on a hidden camera.
No.
He's gonna film her against her will, dressed up like an Aboriginal, and now he's got Aborigine shit on. He pulls the thing, grass falls down, so there's grass behind him. He records them fucking like that.
Yeah.
Next morning, she wakes up, and you see in her face, it's like post-nut clarity, and she's like, did I fuck Richard Dreyfuss in Aborigine face last night? She doesn't know it was filmed.
Oh, right.
She hasn't. It was secret filming.
Was it in?
It's a Puff Daddy. This motherfucker pulls a Puff Daddy in 1998. Okay, so then Veronica, she just happens to be in an electronics store where there's a wall of televisions, and then it just happens to be on the Anthropology channel where they're like, okay, guys, this is going to be graphic, but it's for science, and this is the unedited sex tape.
No.
This is the first known sex tape of the Krippendorf mating ritual. And she's like, oh my God, that's me. That's the sex I had. That's the dirty, dirty sex I had last night.
Sex I had.
That's the dirty sex I had last night. I would know my dirty sex anywhere. That's my dirty sex. And it's so funny. She's like mad at him, but she doesn't even address the public sex tape. She's just like, you lied to me about the tribe.
Yeah.
So then they're like, okay, we really got to end this, right? And then the dean and the president come out and they're like, good news. Now we see that she's just in it for the money because they're like, hey, we want to give you guys another $100,000 grant. And she's like, great. I'm in. We'll be there. She's like, oh, and by the way, I'm full partner. So at this point, Lily Tomlin, she's going through the jungle and she finds the spot and it's empty and she starts laughing like a supervillain. She's like, I got him. Ha, 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 ha. So then we cut back to now we're at this fancy dinner. And they have to keep doing a Mrs. Doubtfire where first he's with the chieftain, but it's Veronica's playing the chieftain. Then they run in the bathroom and they're like, well, where's Krippendorf? So then they run in the bathroom and switch. So now it's time they give the award. Oh, and then another professor gets a fax from Lily Tomlin saying it's a hoax. So this guy runs in and says, stop the ceremony. I have proof it's a hoax. There is no tribe. And then he just takes off the hat. And everyone's like, oh my God, it's Krippendorf. Jig is up.
Wait, he just takes off the hat and they're like, oh, it's Krippendorf.
Pretty much. The hat was really doing all of it. They're in the principal's office or the president's. It feels like that. They're in the president's office and they're like, oh my God, how could this have happened? We've been made fools. Krippendorf, you son of a bitch. And then the phone rings and it's a phone call from Lily Tomlin. And they go, what's that, Lily? And she's like, I found him.
What?
And they go, what? And she's like, I found the tribe. I did find them. Turns out they're here. And it cuts to a tribe. And then I guess he hasn't really said one way or the other because then he stands up and goes, well, don't you look foolish. And he leaves. Natasha Lyonne, we see she gets on the phone with the one tribal guy. She says, thanks for doing this, because it turns out that in the beginning of the movie, we see them interacting with the tribe on the VHS. And so this was the tribe that they'd made friends with earlier.
Okay.
But now I guess they're going to pretend to be this other tribe forever, just for his benefit. And she's like, hey, thanks for that. I really appreciate it. And so I guess that she set that up just in time. The daughter did. And there's a moment, right, when the guy comes in and says it's all a lie. There's a moment when Richard Dreyfuss, he's thinking about taking the hat off. The little boy comes up and says, Dad, this has to be true because we've had so much fun. Ever since Mom died, we weren't a family, but lying to the public and putting on these costumes and making this giant fraud has made us feel like a family again. So that's the message of the movie is, like, you don't think about all of the people who have done giant hoaxes. Everyone thinks about how they have lied to the public, but no one thinks about how much fun those guys were having. Like when the CIA killed Kennedy. Nobody thinks about how those guys became the best of buddies because of that. Hey, maybe history knows you as the second shooter. You're number one in my book, baby. The past was doing its best.
That's the theme song.
Leave them alone. Leave them alone. Leave them alone. They were doing their best.